What the men having no luck should do. By Anatoly Protopopov. It's better to be forgiven later than missed now. From Murphy Laws. It is obvious that it has a sense to recommend something to cornets because captains easily manage without any advice. By the way, it makes no sense to ask advice from captain either, or it will be like in the anecdote. Captains conduct themselves with women very differently, and their high rank is denoted not so much by their relaxed behavior but by a subtle self-assured mimic and specific face expression. The root of your problems regarding relationships with the women is in your low primeval status, and you would like, of course, to raise it. I can tell how to do this right on the spot. You need to become rich or famous, for example, to make a career. It is also possible to get drunk, but this will not help for a long time. It is well known that the women love money very much, but not everyone guesses that wealth is not the end goal for a woman, but it is also an attribute of high primeval rank, and women love not only money but also the men who manage to make it. Getting wealthy for low-ranking men was next to impossible in primeval herd. Higher superiors would have plundered everything. In contemporary society it is possible to achieve certain wealth, but if your real rank is way below your wealth, you might face with her infidelity later. It is pleasant to milk a breadwinner encouraging him with sex, but she'd like to have someone different as a lover. As far as the glory, the best way is to become a pop superstar, and save you God from committing heroic deeds risking your own life. Readiness for self-sacrifice is definitely an attribute of a low rank, but foul readiness to expose the others, to rule over the others, is the attribute of a high rank. As it was mentioned above, it is typical for people to have different levels of primitiveness. The primitiveness of animals, especially primitive ones, is always close to maximum. I will remind that a low primitive man follows his mind rather than his instinctive programs in everyday life. Since instinctive nuptial rituals are dialogic like password response, the unconformity of such man's behavior to these rituals can seriously complicate his quest for a life companion. Such man may not be apprehended as a sexually mature male. It is said that women love with their ears. To say more, this is typical not only for people. Songbird males sing the songs only for attraction of females. For the same purpose grasshoppers cricks, frog male croaks, male cat yawls in March, and etc., etc., etc. It is not worth to mention the pop stars. They are one of the most favorite category of men among women. And yet, they sing mainly about love. What is more important for success, high rank or high primitiveness? For sure, high rank. Captain is forgiven for everything including low primitiveness. Moreover, high-ranking men with low primitiveness have often particular charm and have a big success with respectable decent women. However, they are not the ones who have the biggest harems. However, primitiveness is an inborn feature and it is very difficult to change it even by hard training, especially you do not have artistic gift. Low chances can be compensated by the big number of attempts. Do not hesitate to use favorite women's tactic, having several romances in parallel, but take certain measures to prevent crisscrossing of them. At least, you will gain practical experience and probably obtain lacking self-assurance. One of the other ways of gaining experience is to date by classified personal ads, but do not treat them seriously. They are extremely ineffective as a search method for a life partner. Of course, women tend to make fun of low-ranking men, but treat this philosophically and do not quit attempting. In any case, neither make a tragedy out of this nor fall into depression. Considering that we live in the world of probability and chance, and as it was mentioned above, high rank by itself is not a guarantee for the total success, and right contrary, low rank is not guarantee of a complete failure. All these are the factors which seriously affect the likelihood of mutuality. Besides that, there exists an instinct of sexual curiosity. And one more thing, if your rank is low, try not to waste your time on high-ranking women. And now some real advice. It does make sense to try some psychological training to raise self-confidence. However, be careful and picky in choosing such type of training and its instructor. If the instructor is really high-level specialist, then your chances to raise up your rank, at least visual one, are high enough. Virtuosos can help you in acquiring the above-mentioned hardly noticeable self-assured mimicry. For example, the following exercise can be recommended: looking at woman, think where to kiss her; looking at man, think where to hit him. I emphasize that this should be only imaginary exercise. The results may be noticeable in about couple months. However, be careful with training on men. High-ranking man can apprehend too brave stare as a challenge for hierarchical duel and accept it. But this can be totally out of your plans. Because by hierarchical etiquette, low-ranking male must lower his eyes when dominant is looking at him. Trying to display your high rank to women, do not be malignant and aggressive. Remember that the root of high-ranking potential is in the high self-esteem and following from it self-assurance. Probably opposite to it, malignancy is destiny of low-ranking men. Cheerful happiness of self-assured person having success in life, having to some degree everything from life, is not afraid of getting in contact with others. This is a lifestyle and behavior one should try to achieve. Moreover, even the most highly primitive woman has some kind of rational thinking, and open aggressor can invoke purely rational antipathy. Never condemn your beloved ones for making eye contacts with other men and perhaps dating not only you, even if you are kept at certain distance. Nature made mostly them responsible for the choice, although a lot of water under the bridge since ancient times. And never condemn your wives for irresistible desire to be attractive to all the men. It does not mean infidelity. Remember that without serious reasons a woman will never introduce anything dangerous in her life. However, do not waste your time if you see that the distance between you is not getting shorter for a long time. That means that you are kept just for collection. In this case she does not need you but only the signs of your care. Actually, the need for signs of men's care for most of the women is the end in itself, the kind of psychological food. And dosed favor is given you in order to make this source of care not drying up for as long as possible. It is proven that very long courting do not lead to successful marriages. And even if you succeed in such case, then for the rest of your life you will be considered like half a loaf is better than no bread. If the initiative of your dates or other contacts, for example by phone, is always going from you, but she in the best case scenario just mercifully does not refuse, this is the exact sign that your relationships are hopeless. In this case you are just a specimen of her collection, or even maybe, the source of the gifts. Making the gifts and giving a hand, try to be within limits of the ritual. No way this should look like a sincere self-sacrifice. Gifts should be presented with careless ease. She might be pleased to see how you kill yourself trying to get what she wants, because it means that her goal regarding you is achieved, but this pleasure of hers will not end up in a pleasure for you. As a rule, accepting gifts, woman does not feel obligated. For example, if a woman asks you to do her a favor that humiliates you one way or another and there is no possibility to decline, then the formality and ritual meaning of your submission must be heavily emphasized. Do not rush to accomplish the favor with slavish obligingness. This is the way it is done by low-ranking men, but instead do it condescendingly. Thus your submission completely loses its hierarchical nature and becomes nothing more than purely conjugal ritual. Never try really proving that you are hard-working, sober, careful, responsive, and etc. By doing this you will neither break her heart nor probably capture her mind, especially if she has never been married. As it was said above, different kinds of parallel promiscuity, usually platonic, are typical for women. So they are inclined to try a few men simultaneously. and if she keeps the sufficient distance with all the tried men except perhaps one, this is the norm and usual practice which allows to widen the pool of candidates. Such practice in combination with egocentrism is apprehended as craftiness. This term is not really exact because often she does not know herself who will become her choice until the last moment, although as a rule she knows well who is not going to be her choice, and after the choice is done she does not always realize clearly why one is chosen over others. So do not make the scandals and do not strain your relationship over this issue. According to the instincts, women simply must behave this way. Admitting to body can be used as one of the most powerful, though risky for the women themselves as well, ways of men's seduction. In these cases, a woman comparatively easy agrees for a short-term intimate relationship which do not suppose their further development and deepening. The main subconscious goal of such sexual connection is to bind a man to herself and at the same time satisfy the instinct of sexual curiosity. On a rational level, woman usually explains such behavior as having fun. However, after very short period of time, very often on the very next day, you might be refused in continuation of this intimate relationship, possibly with the offer to stay as friends. Poor thing, if you manage to fall in love with her. In such case the outlooks of reciprocity are next to illusory and negligibly small. Briefly speaking, do not rush to fall in love with a woman only because she had sex with you several times. It might be only a bait with nothing following after but painfully stinging fishing hook. Sure, it does not mean that one should decline closeness. The bait should be accurately eaten without biting a hook, meaning without loosing one's head. The less we love a woman the more she likes us. This can be applied to Pushkin himself, but such recommendations as never pay attention to her or show her the place, shout and etc. are suitable for captains and work well in their implementation. Dominant male doesn't need to love women. They love him anyway. And if your rank is low then your deliberate inattention will go unnoticed, but your attempt to put her in the place will be growl of paper tiger and will cause nothing more than smile or righteous anger. About woman infidelity. Without examining explicit or implicit prostitution, i.e. sexual intercourse for material welfare, then a woman has liaisons in most of the cases when she is not satisfied with the rank of her husband, especially if the power of her innate program of sexual curiosity is increased. And if you do not satisfy your wife sexually but somebody does, then the reason is neither in his special ability nor in the size of his genitals but exactly in the rank. Even the potency is not the first in the list of reasons for infidelity. If she is not suited with something else, low intellect, abusive manners, laziness, and etc., she will probably leave you rather than start having extramarital love affairs. Women have propensity to whimper about difficulties of getting married. However, do not apprehend this too literally and do not make illusions that women will rush to you pushing rivals aside. Of course, if you are not a pop star or someone similar with the highest rank. Women even trying to be attractive to all men, nonetheless will keep sitting up until senility and waiting until somebody will conquer them, and they will put up a defense. The fortitude of which will be inversely proportional to man's rank, thus proving by this his primeval right of close contact, even if there are no chances left. In reality, they want to get married much less than they talk about it. Especially if they are over 30, in this case, besides other things, unwillingness to change habitual way of life is triggered into action. That is also typical for men as well. Saying no men or nobody pays attention, a woman deliberately or inadvertently cheats. A woman of reproduction age getting absolutely no men's attention is something practically impossible, if only men physically exist within a few kilometers. At least she will be accosted by a drunk. Such statements should be comprehended as not enough real men or not enough admirers, and there is none suitable enough among them, and we know who the suitable is. and admirers, like money cannot be too much. So, courting a woman, even ugly, never assume that she does not have other admirers, but better consider that you're only one of possible candidates. However, be careful if a woman is overlooked or competition for her is clearly weak. It is good if only the reason for this is in her unappealing look. Otherwise, the reasons can be very serious. If women reject men for discordance with primeval criteria, then men judging by the mind reject women for more objective shortcomings. The same is true for divorced women. Good wives are tried not to lose. It is advisable to find out the reason for divorce. Do not be modest and do not criticize yourself. If you have something to be proud of, do not put telling it off thinking that this is going to be a pleasant surprise for her. This later time can never come to true. Also, do not assume that she will recognize your strengths herself. Notorious women's insight is nothing more than myth. Illusion of women's insight is created by ability to read well gestures and mimicry as ancient nonverbal language. However, only current state of a man but not his biography or moral caste can be determined by gestures. As it was mentioned above, women, following the feelings, evaluate men very superficially. I do not say about all women, but an average woman is not so insightful at all, which is caused by her egocentrism. If it were not true, women would not have suffered from pickpockets in public transportation. A woman evaluating your strengths, as they are catered for her, probably compares them not with her own strengths and weaknesses. According to the principle of female irreplaceability, her own strengths and weaknesses are less important comparing with the very fact of the women existence, but with the strengths of the other men, also the way the strengths are shown to her. Please note how shamelessly experienced Don Jovans glorify themselves, not hesitating to lie under some circumstances. Of course, I cannot recommend a lie as a method, but whatever you have should be shown at its best. And it is not worth to forget old fellow Carnegie, going fishing I take worms with me, though I personally prefer strawberry with cream. I.e., the things that you like might not be of a dislike for others. Be careful with admitting of love. This can be the end, because the conjugal goal of a woman's behavior is to make men fall in love with her, and if this goal is achieved, then further relationships can get uninteresting for her. You will be flabbily kept just for collection. The very fact that hearing of such admittance is very pleasant for a woman is just a satisfaction of a person who achieved the goal.